Well, here we are. Welcome back to Navigating the Healing Path podcast with your hosts, Maggie and Nicki.
Hello.
Hello. We are so excited to be back here this week to discuss one of our favorite coping mechanisms, creative expression.
Arguably my top and probably your also favorite top coping tool.
It's very close to me. It's definitely integral and part of my journey for sure. And I can't wait to get into all of our favorites and the things that we love to do and how it's helped us.
Yes, same here.
So let's get going. Well, awesome. Before we jump all into it, let's just go ahead and focus on our breath and connect with ourselves, with the earth, with our spirit. Let's go ahead and receive a nice deep in-breath. Holding it at the top and feeling the space and releasing it. Fully expressing being in the present moment. Bringing in another breath. Making sure we go into the heart, to where our soul is seated, to where we are receptive and surrounded by compassion. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Maggie, for being here. I can't wait to hear what you have to talk about.
I can't wait to hear what you have to talk about.
We haven't even let ourselves talk about it, afraid that we're gonna get too much good stuff out of the way. Oh no, I gotta catch it.
Yeah, because normally we do a pre-episode powwow, and we're just I don't want to say we don't plan or anything, but we're usually just so excited to talk about a certain topic.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do that at all today, so I feel all of the good little. Or not little, but all of the good, juicy bits of creative expression I feel like are going to flow out of us today.
Indeed. I love creativity. I think it is an inherent gift that we all are born with. And
I subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Completely.
For sure. And over my adulthood, I have had feelings around hearing people say I'm not creative, or it's just, yes, we all are. We are creative beings. And I don't know, I'm going to start talking about the artist way a lot, and I think I drank the Kool-Aid way too fast. But I have been working the course. I'm my second time through facilitating a group now, and I just love this book. I love the process. I love all of the work that you get to do to unblock your own creativity. I love how the author Julia Cameron, the way that she goes about this, as how she connects it to our spirituality, that it's a spiritual thing. This is the God-given gift that we receive the messages and the inspiration, and we get to bring it through our bodies and our minds and just create and express something that is meaningful to us. What is your first thoughts around this topic?
Around creative expression?
Mm-hmm.
As a coping tool. Well, first and foremost, I am amidst the Artist's Way course. We just started week 7, and this is my first time going all the way through. And I agree with you. It has been very transformational and has brought a lot to my awareness and my own understandings of my inner creativity, and just how much I feel like I have been blocked for a good chunk of my life, even though I feel like I've been always drawn to creativity. I feel like my life story has been very molded by and shaped around art. Between photography, videography, I went on to university to get a degree in film production. Music has always been a major, major part of my life. I used to love drawing as a kid. I would make a whole bunch of little cartoons and comic books, and I used to enjoy painting. And I feel like art and just any form of creative expression has really been one of my deepest like soul callings. So whenever I allow myself to really tap in to those expressions, I feel like it's just filling me up with so much fuel. It's like it's literally like this breathing life force within me, and every single time that I get to participate in it, I'm just like revitalizing something in me. And I don't know, it's weird to talk about it in the context of a coping tool because I feel like it's just my life. And I want, like, one of my major goals is to be able to create a life completely centered around creative expression, like authentic creative expression. That's what I want my entire life to be about. So that's me.
I am right there with you. I also have, this is relatively new to even consider creative expression as a coping mechanism. It is, but you're right. It's just been something that's always been there, has been a comfort, has been a way for me to process my feelings, to have a safe space through my writing to get out my feelings and to have all the dirty things and but have it out, and so it's not living in me anymore. And I could look at it and process it. And it's fascinating for me in my experience being so creative and wanting to be an artist, but never like taking the steps to embody that or take that seriously, right? As like a pipe dream that didn't seem feasible to me growing up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so many of us are taught that artists aren't.
you're going to be starving.
Yeah.
The whole starving artist, you're not going to make it until you're dead.
Yeah. There's so much judgment around it, and it's like not considered a real job or a real use of, like, a real productive use of your time.
Yeah. But much like you, when you get into that creative flow, there's so much magic that happens. You feel alive. You feel accomplished. Like, I don't know if you've had this experience, but like when I doodle or make a drawing or practice sketches that made me like uncomfortable, like to push that boundary, like I've never done this, let me just see what happens if I just practice this. And there's something that happens once it's out and on the page. You like stare at it, like you just take it in, and you could just look at this piece of art for a while. And I've like noticed this. I'm like, what is this? I've asked Josh this. I said, why? What is this phenomena of like I just stare at this page of sketches that I just did. And I feel like it for me, it's done several things. One, it's like a look what I did. That doesn't completely suck. I can learn from this, or that was super fun, or just looking at it brings up that joy that you were in when you were doing it, when you were being free and letting your hand go and letting go of the perfection and just having fun. It can bring up those feelings again. And I just find that so interesting because that happened to me a few weeks ago. I'm like, why do I just keep opening this page? I mean, like, yes, I haven't sketched in a while, and it was something that I haven't done in a while, but I'm like, ooh, but look, I showed everybody. I posted it on our group chat. I'm like, guys, look at my sketches. What do you see? It was just so much fun. You get so much delight and joy just from silly little expressions and experiments and playfulness. It's very satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
It's a lot of satisfaction.
Such a huge sense of accomplishment with it. Actually, one of the other weeks in the artist's way, one of the tasks was to cartoon yourself, like partaking in one of your main like distraction mechanisms.
I did that too.
So I doodled. I did like 2 little like cartoon squares of me, and I kind of went ham on it. I was like, wow, I haven't like just like sat down and like done like a little sketch in a long time, especially of this style. And I found myself like later that night, because I had done the drawing in the early afternoon, and I just opened my notebook. I was like, oh, let me just look at that again. Look how cute it is. I did such a good job. It even kind of looks like me. Oh my God. Like I got the little like bun. Or not the bun, but like my little hair clip with like my stray hand. Yeah, anywho. Yeah, there's just like this sense of pride and magic just looking at something or listening back to something. Like I really get that feeling when I'm listening back to a part of like a demo that I make, like a particular composition that just like came out of me. Because I usually don't really have much when I'm making music besides maybe like a leading chord progression on like guitar or piano. And then just I continually add instrumental elements like one at a time. So I don't really know what I'm making when I go into it, but just to see what appears. And then when I feel like I've hit like the point where I'm done for the rest of the day, usually just the rest of that night, I'll just like pop headphones on and I'll be like, "Ooh, let me loop that again. Let me just like hear that real quick." Cuz it's such absolute magic to bear witness to something that didn't exist like hours ago, but we're somehow these conduits. Which I love the way that Julia Cameron talks about this, being the conduit, being the instrument.
Oh yeah.
For God, for spirit. We are just
the author.
Yeah, they're the author of the piece of whatever art you're making, and we're all just the conduits, and we just kind of channel these different mediums, and it's just I can't describe it other than just reusing the word magic over and over and over again. Like art and creativity is just absolute magic.
But I also want to say creativity isn't always artistic either.
That's
and
true.
That's what's really interesting is you could be creative as a problem solver. You know, if there's budgeting things or there's, you know, like you can have creative solutions. You know, it's like just connecting to that resource of inspiration and guidance and wisdom. It isn't their lawyers can be creative. Doctors are creative with how they practice their medicine, you know, and diagnose and do all of that.
Computer programmers,
amazing.
Code writers.
Speaking of, you know, a really weird place for me to receive my creative satisfaction is in Minecraft. Have you ever like built a farm or done something and then you keep like, I just need to go look at it.
Yes.
Look
oh
what
my
I
God.
built. Look at this monument of awesomeness. I went researching. I'm on survival mode. This is awesome. When you don't have a big art studio or you don't have those kind of supplies and stuff, even some video games are creative. Animal Crossings has been like that. I even knew somebody who did Animal Crossing for a creative outlet because she didn't have the time or space or whatever. That was how she was filling that creative need.
That's a really great interior design and architectural creative outlet. Like Minecraft too, like same thing, but just kind of like using different, different skills.
So even some video games can tap you into that, which is why it's so easy to get lost in them. Where you're busy building something or mining or doing something and hours go by. You know you're in the creative flow when you lose track of time. And that is such a fun place to be.
Yeah, you got me wanting to play Minecraft right now.
I know. I feel that. I'm like, oh man, I haven't checked on that in a while. I have to fix my farms because they broke down. Need that sugar cane, man. Some of that seaweed.
Yep.
Need that fuel source. Anyway, yeah. So you can find the creative outlets in really unexpected ways, and it's just about opening yourself up to what have you always wanted to learn. Like connecting to that inner child who is the artist. Your inner artist is a child, which is why they need to be protected from shameful criticism and no comparing your new beginning artwork to the masters who have honed and practiced for years. The whole perfectionism and all these things can get in your way. You could just go color in a coloring book. One of my favorite things to do when you need zero artistic skill for are Zen tangles, where there's so many, you look it up on YouTube. There's so many people out there giving prompts and inspiration for that, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, those, what's the definition of those? Because I've seen some of yours.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's different methods and everything. So, like,
Is it just free flowing, like dot and line art, or?
it's good question. How would you even describe this? So Zen Tangle, it's like a web of being in the moment, of slowing and quieting your mind, de-stressing. By there's no expectation for perfection. Like there's this one, like the neuro art where you just sort of scribble all over a page, and then you round all of the edges, and it becomes this like web, this like nebulous cool image. And if you put circles in there, it feels very completion. It gives the brain the satisfaction. It helps to calm it down. It gives it something to do and focus on this like repetitive thing. You use your breath, you're breathing, you're being in the present moment. It's like a form of meditation. When you're not at that point yet in meditation where you're like, yeah, no, I'm too antsy, your gateway to meditation could be art. What brings you to the present moment? Dishes is meditative. It can be. If you're present, if you're breathing, if you're in the flow with what you're doing, you're in the water, in the warmth, like you can turn anything into a meditation. And so that is the therapy, that is the help, that is the coping, is that space, that presence, the breath, being here now, not in the past, not thinking about the future. You're here now. You're looking at the lines. Your hands are in soap, whatever you're doing. And it's about giving yourself that space to breathe and to play. And it's sad that some adults don't feel like they deserve to play, that they have to work. And there's a lot of programming that keeps you out and blocked from your own creativity.
That's one of the things that I think makes me probably the most heated. And I'm not a very angry person, but the fact that we've been fed this lie that as you get older, all of life loses its fun and its play. That just absolutely breaks my heart and makes me furious.
It's quite the disservice to humans.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, like you said, I mean, I fully, truly believe each one of us, we are creative beings. We are here to be the conduits of whatever magical universal force that you believe in. So that way we can spread love and inspiration to each other.
Art has always been the truth teller of how things are.
Yeah.
It's a way to communicate an experience, a feeling, a thought, a concept. It says a lot. And I think it can say a lot for you, to you. There's art journaling. I love this idea of art journaling, where you just have different paints and markers and what words come out, what textures you want to play with, and it's layers and layers of texture and words or whatever you want to express in that moment. What does it feel like inside? How can you express that on this page? I know a lot of artists get a lot of catharsis out of creating things, paintings, songs, poems, books, stories, that helps them process and feel better about what they've been through. I think there's a lot of transformation work in this.
Yeah. I feel like artistic or creative expressions, however it flows through you, is really one of the best ways to emotionally process. I'm just thinking back to the times where I've been in really intense anxiety and stress, and I've picked up a sketchbook and I just drew what I was feeling and words that I was thinking, and I just like put it all out onto this page, and I drew for like hours until I felt like I was complete. And I just was able to somehow draw out everything that had been caught in my head that was overwhelming me at the time. And I'm not like huge on drawing. Like, I'm not, that's not what I'm trying to do as a profession. And I definitely love to doodle and to cartoon when I was a kid. But something about it now for me, I feel like drawing is such this anxiety relief to just be able to have this blank page to process that really intense emotion. But it works for a whole range of emotions, or if you need to process like a relationship and months have gone by, but you feel like you don't really have like a good bearing or understanding on it, writing song lyrics can end up helping you process. I feel like that's what's happened to me. I've had a few songs that have been coming out of me, which they've been based on even like 10, 15 years ago of how I used to feel. And just these gatherings over my life of different experiences that I've had, but I haven't really understood. And then one day I'm feeling a particular emotion that feels tied to all of these previous events. And words will just pour out. And I'm like, oh, I guess I needed to process that. Mm-hmm. But it's just amazing how there's an infinite amount of outlets for creative expression. And there's this huge, vast array of emotions that we feel. And it's just like this endless combination of, ooh, I'm feeling anger. What can I use here to go express this? Writing, painting, drawing, music making, rhythmic drumming. Literally so many things.
I like what you're already drawn to. And I feel like both of us as artists it's easier for us to connect.
For us to connect to
like the different creative expressions, to, pick things up again after like not playing them. But there's a lot of people who don't even do anything creative. They already feel like they don't. And I think that's a good opportunity to explore. The checking in with the inner child. Was there something from your childhood that you didn't get that you always wanted an opportunity to? Mm-hmm. Like, I never got to take music lessons or like learn an instrument. So as an adult, I taught myself how to play like the ukulele. I'm not very good at it. I'm not practiced, but I could pluck away. I know some chords. That's super fun. But it was really satisfying while I was doing it. And it like brought me to the present. I like the resonance of it. I love learning. Sometimes learning anything new can help you get out of a rut or a depression. It can help you focus on something outside of yourself that you can also learn and show your mind, like, see, I can learn something. And also, see, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect when you're first learning something. So there's so much that can come out of just opening yourself to learning something new, something creative. I taught myself knitting because, I think that's a cool skill to have.
Super cool skill.
Right? I thought that was really interesting. And I was always pet sitting and having time and not my stuff around me, but I can carry that in a bag, and it was really convenient. Now I made all of my friends and family some cozy neck warmers. It was amazing. And hats, and I've so many things, and you get a lot of joy out of this. And satisfaction, there's like, it really just keeps coming back to that.
It's just this sense of pride. How can you not?
Because like when so many of us in the working world sacrifice our time for money, and so it's work and responsibilities and very little time for play, and sometimes our jobs aren't even satisfying or fulfilling because life, right? It's just not there at this time, but it can be. And there's ways to feel better through creative expression. Even just coloring. You hear this a lot. It's out there.
Coloring is
I
so
love
soothing.
coloring,
Just put on like a good album on your
right?
record player and lay on the floor with this vast array of colored pencils
Uh-huh.
and just like a cute little coloring book. Uh, that's like a fabulous way to spend an afternoon.
It really is. And it's not childish. I mean, and even if it is, great. Let's be youthful. Let's be open and creative and expressive and be relaxed and help ourselves relax and give ourselves a break. I like it.
Yeah, me too. Can I share one of the main ways that I feel like I'm using creative expression right now
Yeah,
to cope?
of course.
Sweet. Or maybe it's not coping. Maybe it's reprogramming.
Hmm.
But one of the main things that I'm looking at, and I'm sure this is largely thanks to the artist way, but one of the main things that's been bringing up in me has been how much perfectionism has really been ingrained in me. I have been very programmed with black and white thinking and holding incredibly high expectations for myself. And allowing myself to be bad at anything has felt like the biggest panic attack. Like, oh my God, I can't be bad at things. Oh, no one can know. But I feel like through tapping into the less stressful stuff that I enjoyed when I was a kid, like the drawing and the coloring, because I feel like I don't hold as much weight to those as I do like, oh my God, music, because I want to make music and release it to the world. I feel like that adds like this different type of pressure to it. But with coloring and drawing, to just actually allow myself to tap back into the energy of when I was a kid and to just color, even if it doesn't make any rational sense that something would be this certain color or that this palette would go together. It's been a really nice practice for me to just allow my inner kid to just kind of take the wheel. And I've been using it as a mindfulness practice of like noticing when my inner critic wants to come in, my inner artist abuser wants to come and be like, those colors don't go well together. What are you doing? Oh God, there's so many things. My thoughts have been very, very mean to me, and very, very abusive towards my inner artist and to my inner child. But I feel like just these small, relaxing, non-pressured acts of allowing yourself a little bit of time and space to just sketch a little bit, just to pull out a coloring book, to color with crayons, to doodle random lines on a page. I feel like that to me has been a really soothing and healing practice for myself and for my perfectionism.
I agree. I love that idea because sketchbooks and journals are not meant to be perfect. Those are not for public consumption, really. That's where you plan things out, where you process, where you experiment. No experiments are going to be perfect. You're going to try like different nose shapes and eye shapes. Like you don't know these different combinations. I actually now am inspired to go color a page completely wrong. Like I'm going to pick all of the wrong colors
Nice.
and they're going to clash and it's going to be amazing. Because there is a lot of work that you can do to prove the mind that it doesn't need to be perfect. Look at this. How many times have you walked through a museum? What? Like the abstract art, the impressionism, it's not meant to be perfect. We don't need to make a perfect photocopy impression of what we saw or feel. It's just color and lines and visual stimulus and it doesn't need to be perfect. There's no such thing. Perfectly imperfect. I love that. That's around there and out there right now. And I'm so happy because you are perfect in your imperfection. And if you want to change that and you want to feel better, great. It's a different kind of perfect. Still perfect. Still perfectly you. So go do it wrong. Give yourself permission to sketch badly. How bad can I draw this dog? You know?
What an empowering thing to do.
I love giving myself permission to do it wrong because I learned something. Old ancient texts, Sanskrit rules of being human. There are no mistakes, only lessons. I don't believe in mistakes. I might not have the best response. You know, I might not be the best version, but I was probably being authentic. But I don't need to be perfect. Perfection not required.
Mm-mm.
Not when you're creating, not when you're making something. I think it's a really good practice to connect with your inner child artist. I think there's a lot of benefit to that, to help you dream again. How many of us gave up on our dreams because it wasn't realistic? It wasn't sustainable. To who? Whose rules? You don't live for anybody else. You live for you. So you do the things that excite you, that light you up, that help you grow. I'm always going to be learning, and I love all of the arts. I'll just keep practicing, playing, because it makes me happy.
It's so fun.
It makes me happy to take pictures and play with them and then make other people smile or make gifts for people or myself. It feels good. And I think anything that brings you that kind of joy, so long as it doesn't harm other people, I think is good for you.
Yeah. I feel like there's just something so inherently healing in the act of any creation. I feel like it's just part of this like fuel exchange, or just this flow that I feel like that happens within me when I create. It's literally one of the few things that I feel like really washes away all and any worry that we have and connects us so deeply to who we really are. Like I feel like creative expression is just this, it just gets us into this like beautiful alignment with ourselves and with source every single time, even if it is as small as coloring for 5 minutes in a coloring book. I just feel like it washes so much from me and just reminds me of why I'm here and the possibility for what my life can be and what I can feel more of. I can't help but just keep saying I feel like this is so integral to why humans are here on this planet and what we're here to do and what we're here to make. Not only for our own healing, but for the healing of others too.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking magical. What's the most, or what do you feel like gets healed within you when you make a piece of art? Or I guess let me first ask, I know you really like drawing, you like sketching, right? Is this kind of your, I guess, preferred or your primary outlet?
That's actually hard to say because it's mixed media.
Right.
I like all of the things and integrating a lot of it, like even writing and the visual arts and then sculpture. So it's sort of all of it for me, but I do enjoy it.
I feel like lately you've been doing a lot of coloring and a lot of sketching.
I've been doing a lot more sketching for sure. Yeah. And doodling and zentangling and patterning and yeah, just lines and dots and chilling out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to improve on my drawing for sure. That's my scariest one because that's where I have that high expectation. Like it has to look, I can't always see it in my mind. Like I thought I just want to be able to draw without reference. And then Josh is like, hey, Nikki, all artists use reference. Did you know that? I'm like, not everybody. He's like, well, most of them. There's prodigies out there, but they're rare. You know, people that can just draw. That's amazing. But that's also a skill. That is literally also something that you can just teach yourself and you can just learn. That's also the benefit of having the sketchbook and the journal is like you can fill it and just do it and then reflect back and look at how you grew. What did you learn from that lesson? What did you learn from that experience out there capturing, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So with that, I guess with drawing, just because that's been like
that's fine.
Your most recent modality.
Yeah.
When you tap into that flow of forgetting about everything else and just being immersed in your sketchbook, what do you feel like that heals within you for you?
That's a nice question. I can use my recent example of the one sheet that I sent you guys where it was the scribble doodles. So you literally scribble lines until you begin to see something. And then you pull that out and you just sort of like reinforce that structure. And then I used to use it as a fun game of like I would see, let's just say a chicken holding a torch. And somebody else might see something else completely. It's like, oh, Josh is like, oh, I thought that was a paintbrush. I'm like, I can see why you'd say that. And so it's a fun, like, little game. But what that particular exercise did for me was one, I got to connect to something I used to do when I was in high school, right? So I got to connect with my inner teen, right? So I got to say hello. Like, you want to play with me? You remember when we used to do this in like the side of our notes, you know? And so I got to play with her. And I had to let go of expectation of like, I have to see something. Like I had to keep letting go of control and be in the moment and just look and see something or just be open to it. Let the eyes blur a little bit and see what jumps out. And so I practiced the patience of trusting the process. And you will see something, I promise, even if it looks like a weird slug that kind of looks like Rush Limbaugh, you know? Like, that was a really weird one. But, you know, I saw something and then I pulled it out. And so it was playful. I was present. I was in the moment, but I was also connecting with myself in a really lovely kind of way. So it can also become the opportunity for you to show up for yourself. You know, especially if you're constantly looking for other people to show up for you, to give you that external validation, to show you that you're worthy and valuable of their time. Well, how about you're worthy and valuable for you and your own self? So how are you showing up for yourself? Are you self-caring? Are you meditating? Are you exercising? Are you being creative? Are you taking care of yourself in a way that makes you feel good? And for me, showing up to the page and inviting and creating that space for creativity is healing because that's me showing up for me, for like my inner child, for myself, because it brings me joy. I don't do this to show everybody. I only show the people that delight in it as well. And I'm like, can I show you something? And just to share my joy with safe people. Like, I'm not going to show my crazy, silly sketch doodles to randos because they're like, what the fuck is that? They're going to judge it. I'm like, I don't need that. But they also don't understand it doesn't also matter. But it's an opportunity, yeah, for me to show up for myself, to be present, to let go of perfection, to be playful, to connect with flow, and just practice that muscle of opening myself up, seeing what happens.
I love all of that.
Yeah.
Especially just hearing that as an act of letting go, trusting the process, and then also practicing patience. Just hearing you say that, I just think about how much the creative process really is just a perfect reflection of life. And often what we need for ourselves and in our process of creating, no matter what it is often what we need in all other areas of life.
It can definitely feed it.
Yeah.
It helps to recharge and resource. Artists, and we're all artists because we're all creative, but all creatives, we need alone time. We need to recharge and we need to honor the things that want to come out that we've been feeling and we want to express. I feel like everybody has an avenue of expression. Whether, think about it when you were a kid. Did you write? Did you draw? Did you paint? Did you play an instrument? Did you speak and tell stories? What did you love to do? What were you naturally drawn to? What did you give up on? I think everybody has a talent somewhere, has a skill, has a strength of expression somewhere. It's inherent. We're humans. It comes with the package. It comes preloaded, if you will.
It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
So I think part of coming back to yourself or having yourself, your authentic self, be in the front is the work of reconnecting to your own creativity. Whether you're creative in how you cook, that's creative expression. How you clean your house can be creative expression. Because like how you decorate it, what's your method, what's your routine. I actually know people who love cleaning. I don't understand them. That is not my strength. But I love them. Please go clean. Have that sense of control and just go. It smells delicious. I love it. Thank you so much. But there's creativity in all manners of life.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just there. Sales is creative. There's so much. So why it's put down outside of adolescence? Once you're done with adolescence, let go of the childish things. No, they're not childish. They're human things.
Beautiful human things.
I think it's interesting watching Zoe grow up. I know she's only 10, right? She's not really grown up, but she's growing. And I'm noticing where her strengths are now. She is a great storyteller. She loves entertaining. She's a great artist. I don't know what the hell she's here for, but I am here for the adventure of exploring and finding out with her and just letting her be her creative self. I don't want to give her any kind of negative belief. If you want to be a YouTuber, baby, go be the best YouTuber. Work on your speech and how you articulate. Let's strengthen some of these things. You want to be a writer? Let's work on your grammar so that your story is understandable across many people. I love creativity. I will invite everybody to come play with me and do art, and I'll run mixed media workshops if you want to learn how to layer. But there's so many, dude, YouTube University is amazing.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I learned so much mixed media on there just with layering all the products and getting exposed to different things. Like there's so much information out there. It's at your fingertips. Just where's your inspiration? Where's your courage? The courage to try something new and not be perfect at it. Letting go of all of that expectation. You don't have to. You don't need it. Just play, feel, notice.
Agreed.
It can just open a lot of doors for you when you just take that chance. You take that risk on being creative and picking up something you always wanted to but was too afraid, or you would always put yourself next to people who would do the things that you want to be doing, so maybe you can get a little bit of that feeling. Do those things. Like, I wanted to ask you, Maggie, I know the things you do. You do music and art and writing and video and photography. Awesome. What is something that you haven't done that you want to, creatively speaking? Is there anything that you haven't picked up or tried?
When I reflect on this question, I feel like my mind can only think of like the main things, which you just listed, and like drawing and painting and all of that, which I've dabbled in with here and there.
Oh, I have some ideas. You want me to give you some ideas? Like knitting, sewing, dance, flame throwing, I don't know, juggling, right? Stand-up comedy, base jumping, scuba diving. There's so many creative things that you can try. Although skydiving, is that creative? I don't know. But
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about including sports in there. Although I did skateboard for a long time, and that is a very creative sport.
really,
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
how skateboarding is creative. I can sort of get there, but I
Oh,
want to
dude.
hear you.
Oh, dude. Okay, all right, hold up.
How is
I haven't skated in
skateboarding
years.
creative?
Okay, so there's different types of skateboarding. There's like vert skating on like the really big ramps and the huge bowls.
Uh-huh.
And then there's street skating, which you're just out in the world and you're using anything and everything that you find as a tool to do whatever tricks you can possibly think of and that you can do. The world literally becomes your playground. There's this huge bag of tricks that you can do. You can flip the skateboard in so many different ways, and it takes a lot of time to learn the foundations of it, but you can spin yourself with the board, you can flip the board, you can do 360 flip movements with the board. You can hop up on like a bench and do so many different combinations of like grinds and slides on it. And one of the main things in skateboarding, especially when you're filming skateboarding, is like filming a line where you're in a certain area, and let's say you have like a nice like concrete flat ground, and then there's a bench somewhere a little bit down the ways, and then maybe there's this little like sidewalk hump that you can go and you can jump off of and do a flip trick off that. So you can just create all of these magical lines out in the world with objects that already exist, and you get to choose from this huge variety of options of what you want to do and the way that you want your body to do the trick. Like style is such a huge thing too, even like down to like clothing style is so big in the skateboarding world. And everybody just has this different way that their body moves, and the tricks that you're drawn to is different from somebody else. Somebody else can have a completely different bag of tricks than you, and it's just the world literally just becomes this giant concrete playground of just like limitless possibility.
I can see that. And it reminds me of some of those videos I've seen of people dancing on skateboards. That's always impressive.
Oh, on the longboards? Yeah.
Yeah, like they're
that's
like
crazy.
going back and forth and spinning around and doing all these like fun, like little groovy, smooth tricks. That's super fun.
Yeah.
Roller skating is much like that, with like the dancing and the moves and the creativity that comes with that. So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of creation or creative expression in way more than we give credit for. We can't just base it on the visual arts, right?
That's true, yeah.
Creativity is everywhere. Like I said, even with the food you make your family.
Cooking is such a huge creative.
Hugely
creative thing.
creative. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile investigation inside to what creatively lights you up, and creating space and holding that and showing up so that you can have that feeling of flow, of joy, of presence, and just this sense of, like, again, it comes to this sense of completion. Like, even if it's not perfect, like, look, I did it. I finished it. Like finishing a 5,000 piece puzzle. You know,
I freaking love puzzles.
That can even be creative at how you go about organizing or doing the edges first, or what colors. Like, there's creative opportunities in that as well. So opening our minds to what that means for us as creative beings, and kind of just exploring ourselves, which is what I love about the artist ways, because it helps you navigate and uncover and do these archaeological kind of explorations and exercises that helps you uncover lost dreams and inspirations and parts of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the creative expression can help bring parts of you back online, the parts that were
Absolutely.
sleeping or repressed because there was no time to dedicate to it. But I feel like it helps you feel better about being alive. It feels like it brings purpose. Even it's just for you. It's just art for the art's sake. Just because it helps you feel better. It gets out the things. One time I used to have like a recurring nightmare when I was little. And one time during like a journaling session, I ended up drawing an image. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it wasn't great. Doesn't need to be. It just represented the dream. And just to get it out, to put it out there, to be able to see it outside of yourself
Yeah.
can be really healing. So the way that Karen, Karen, the mentor that I've been working with and friend and all of that, she has suggested like when you write in your journal, right, when you're speaking your truth or telling your story, you get it out through your handwriting, and through that whole process it comes out, and then you give it some time to sit, and then a week later or days later you actually read it out loud, and that will process it more because you express it through your throat chakra, through your expression center, right? And then that will give it another layer of healing, of expression, of outness of you. Art can do the same thing, the different iterations from an idea that you have for just a sketch in your sketchbook, and then that will become the inspiration for a canvas piece, and then that you'll make for you because it means something to you, and then the gift is others when they can relate and they can connect and feel that, and that's just really satisfying when other people understand what you were just expressing. So I love it. I think that it's a worthwhile endeavor
Oh my God.
on our healing journey.
Yes. Absolutely agreed. I have an answer to your
Oh,
previous question
yay,
now.
you found one.
I
Excellent.
did. I found two,
Oh,
actually.
please share.
Uh, my first one that I have been more interested in this past year is dance, because I really enjoy like the somatic moving where I'll put on a song that
Dance, of course, is a creative expression. My God, it brings me to tears. Yes, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I
Yeah.
love that.
I'll put on a song, and usually one that will reflect my mood, and I'll just kind of like let my body move how it wants to move to the song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one that, number one, I haven't really let myself express myself in that way. I've had a not so connected relationship with my body,
Mm-hmm.
and I have felt a lot of embarrassment around dancing, or I guess rather not knowing how to dance, and having had, like social anxiety difficulties. That's just something that I'm like, dear God, no. So I shut that door for a really, really long time. But seeing and feeling what's come up when I've just allowed my body to move however it wants to move to music, which music has always spoken to me so deeply and energetically, like I feel it, like it's coming from inside of me. Like I don't know how to explain my relationship to music, but it is beyond this planet. And one of my lifelong friends, he's a dancer. And he's just had this similar connection with music, but where I'm making it with instruments, he dances and he creates choreography. And he's just also beyond this planet. I'm so excited to reconnect with him again in the future in the right divine timing. But I've always watched him dance, and it elicits something inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just talking with him for a little bit, it just opens up this whole world, because dancing it's really its own language, like anything else, like learning a painting technique or learning skateboard tricks. It's this language, like one movement of your arm is a word that can be connected to all of these other bodily movements that makes this sentence, and it expresses so much without using language at all, or verbal language anyway. And the more that I look at different types of dance and just how all of these different types can reflect such a vast array of moods, just like music does. I don't know, it just like lights something up within me, and I'm like, this is such a beautiful form of expression. So I would love to play around with it more for myself for sure.
Nice.
Especially if I can, like, I don't know that I'm at the point where I'm ready to go and like take a class in any specific type of dance. That feels a
Right.
little out of my wheelhouse right now. But maybe, yeah, hopping on the YouTube University and just like maybe learning some moves that I feel called to, that I feel like I want to add to my little repertoire to better express myself when I'm having a dance party alone in my room. You know? But then the second part of that answer is singing. I took a singing class when I was like a really young kid, probably like between 5 and 7, somewhere around there. But I reached an age where I forget whether I just wasn't interested in it at the time or if it was just nerves got to me and like the fear of judgment and being perceived. I wish I had just spent more time honing the skill, because it is something that really truly does bring me joy. But it's also been something that has brought up a lot of insecurity and fear of judgment within me. That's still something that I'm working on, is allowing my voice to be heard and trying to find my true singing voice that isn't replicating other singers. Like that's definitely part of the process, but like when I'm alone in my car, like I realize, because I was a delivery driver for a number of years back in my early days of college, and I would just drive around town just singing along to all these different artists. And I realized within the last year that I've picked up their methods of singing and their like vocal tones, like, which is cool to like expand the repertoire. But I'm like, oh, I don't think this is actually, number one, a sustainable technique for my own voice, but it's not reflective of my actual voice. Like I can hear a difference in myself when I'm trying to sing like a Lizzie McAlpine song versus when I am singing one of my own songs. And there's a different way, there's like a different energy in my body and in my vocal cords. It's just so fascinating. I just really wish that I spent more time learning about it and honing that skill, because it does bring me so much joy, but it also still scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Nice answers. I like it. It makes sense for you.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
I have a lot of things that I would do. Like I've taken, like my senior year of college was all my psych classes and then all art. It was it was like, I'm going to have the best year ever. I'm just going to have fun and just do the things, because it really is always something I wanted to do, and I backburnered it thinking it wasn't reasonable. Turns out also healing is an art, the healing arts. So like what I do energetically, it's 100% creative. Like I am downloading. I am a conduit of the energy and the frequency of healing.
Facts.
And like that's a super fun expression for me.
Tarot reading and oracle card reading, also very creative.
Yeah, because you're connected to the channel. You're connected, and to the creative source. You know, to get your messages.
Creatively discerning the messages too. Yeah.
So I'm just steeped in creativity all around me. It's just sort of been apparently my life's mission now, is just to be in joy, and I'm most joyful when I'm creative. So I am here to expand and develop and grow everything I possibly can. I definitely at some point want to take painting lessons, just because I know some painting things, and I know Josh can teach me a bunch, but I really love structure in school. I'm such a nerd. I love it. Because I like having things laid out and let's play with this. I like learning the things and then breaking all of the rules because that's how you do it, right? Like I learned all of these healing modalities, but I use it all in the way that isn't authentic to me, like my own voice. You know, you learn from the masters, you replicate what the masters have done, and so you can get the idea, the technique, the protocol, the process, but then that's just the muscle memory. That's just you creating that skill. Once you're there, then you find your own voice, your own expression, your own authentic self.
Just like singing someone else's songs.
Exactly. And that is something that is something I've always wanted to do. I have felt like I get upset, like, because like I try to sing. I'm not a terrible singer. I'm not terrible. But there's this point where like I want to belt and my throat closes.
Yeah.
I have this
Belting's
block.
hard.
Or
It's
just
so technical.
yeah, like expressive. Like I know the diaphragm, like I know some of these techniques, but like there's a block. And so
I feel that.
what I would want to do is just take voice lessons to help unblock that edge, you know, where it shuts down, learning how to free and be open in my throat and in my diaphragm and use that as the bellows, as the tool, you know, to express the air, to get that frequency of the vocal cords. I think it would help me with what I do anyway. So I think taking singing lessons, I think would be super fun for me. And I've always loved dance, but I will just continue to dance alone in my room. But I love the idea of somatic work. I also can't be a professional dancer at this point. It's not feasible because of my injuries in my life. But anyway, singing for sure, painting for sure. I love ceramics. I will do anything artistic, really. Let me at it.
Ceramics would be really cool.
Oh, it's so much fun. I would.
Oh, wood cutting? Oh, dude, I want to do wood cutting.
Oh, that's fun too. Well, I used to do tech and I've made woodworking things.
Woodworking, not wood cutting. I don't want to chop down trees.
Woodworking, yeah. Making shit.
Yeah. Or like furniture flipping. That would be super fun.
Very creative.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, creativity is everywhere. It is a human right. We're born with it.
And a human need.
It is so needed. It really is. It makes life worth living. It really does. We're not here to work and die. We're here to live and express and feel, and the feelings inform the expression. It's a process. It helps release. There's so much good stuff to it. I just want to help inspire others to just explore their own excitement, what they're drawn to, how to bring more creativity in, and be open to feeling good and expressing yourself. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know, is there anything else? Anything else on your mind on our plate this evening?
Yeah, no, I think I feel pretty complete with the conversation. There's just so much.
As always, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah, no, I think we covered the basis for this. I really enjoyed talking about this.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, this topic, I feel like while we didn't necessarily go into the details of creative expression as a strict coping mechanism, I feel like this is much more of like an overall broad tool and opportunity for different people just to tap into themselves in general.
Right. It was like a very nebulous kind of conversation where we just sort of like put it out there from our experiences, the things that we find creatively satisfying and how it has helped us, but then also inviting anybody just to explore and uncover their own creative passions, or if there isn't any, and just notice how you feel when you do begin to tap into it, and what blocks are you having, and just inviting you to flow again.
Yeah. Creativity and art and this type of expression is really one of the major modalities of just self-discovery.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good self-care.
Yeah, a great self-care.
It's really good for self-care because there's a lot of relaxing things. If you can put down the perfectionism and the ego of needing it to look or be a certain way, because that is also a really good skill to build. It's top notch. It's up there. It's part of my life.
Yeah. But yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed this more nebulous episode today.
Our own discovery of considering creative expression as a coping mechanism. We're like, yeah, actually it is kind of like that. I get a lot out of it. It helps a lot through the healing process.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it just feels like a best friend along the healing path.
Yes, it does. It's a good support. It's a good place to look and feel and grow.
Absolutely. So yeah, even if it's 5 minutes, I hope someone out there takes some inspiration from this and just goes and enjoys some coloring.
Oh,
after work one day, maybe.
So nice. Super fun. One more quick story.
Mm-hmm.
Josh and I started coloring together a long time ago. When we moved into our first house, we ended up buying all these coloring books, and these are the adult coloring books. Like, there were special coloring books that you had to prove that you could actually color before you went into this special one. But like, people would just come over and just start coloring, and it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Like, I love inspiring other people. Like, you want to color a page? I got it from Disneyland. You know? And then we have our super serious one. They're like, ooh, that's nice. I'm like, yeah, you have to do Disneyland before you do that one. This is for serious colorists.
Colorists. That's awesome. Yeah, another great way that creative expression can be a coping mechanism is it helps you find community.
For sure. For sure. I love it. I think everybody could benefit from creative expression of any sort.
Go experiment. Go play.
Go play. And do it wrong.
Yes.
Do it badly until you do it amazingly.
Love it. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you guys are interested in hearing more from us, you can pop on over to our Patreon page, linked in the description below.
Yes, thank you again for joining us today on our episode. Please, we would love it if you would join us again next week when we discuss the dangers of perfectionism. We definitely tapped in on a little bit today, but we're going to dive in much deeper next week. So you all have a great week.
Have a great week.